Maybe it's a bit early for you to panic at the waves of mass layoffs in Vegas. The most frightening great crisis has not yet reached its climax, because many workers are now not only losing their jobs, but also being turned into instruments of enrichment for the very people who fired them. In just a few months, a series of casino groups on the Strip, from Resorts World to MGM and Caesars, have announced internal restructuring. Batches. Those neutral-sounding phrases actually mean hundreds of employees are removed from the system, from receptionists, technicians, to even middle managers. The irony is that immediately after each announcement of the cut, corporate stocks rose, and so did executive bonuses. A silent transfer. Workers' sweat turns into profit reports. Their beliefs become performance metrics. And in this game, it seems like bookmaker always wins, even though the price is the very soul of the city. In today's video, we'll take a deep look at that spiral, where profitism devours the people who built this city, where technology and globalization have become tools to hide greed, and where a Vegas once made of human joy is gradually turning into a symbol of exhaustion and despair. Sometimes the numbers hide more than they reveal. According to the Nevada Department of Employment, Training and Rehabilitation, the state's unemployment rate fell to 5.3% in August 2025, a figure seen as a positive signal. But behind that picture, Las Vegas lost more than 4,300 jobs in just 1 month, equivalent to 0.4% of total labor. Compared to the same period in 2024, the city lost nearly 5,000 jobs. In other words, unemployment may be falling on paper, but the reality is that workers are disappearing from the system. That underground wave started in the summer of 2025, when the number of visitors to Las Vegas decreased continuously for 6 consecutive months. Compared to the previous year, the number of people flying to McCarran Airport, booking hotels, or driving from California decreased by about 12%. Vegas, once a destination of joy and freedom, has now become too expensive, too luxurious to still be attractive to ordinary people. Tourists no longer go to Vegas. And as the influx of people left, the balance sheet started to turn red. And to beautify those numbers, only one thing was cut: people. Revenue from travel and casinos dropped markedly, but instead of looking to protect workers, CEOs chose a different direction: earns more from less. They changed their strategy, pushing Vegas into the luxury segment, where everything from rooms, a cup of coffee, or even the air you breathe is revalued. And to maintain short-term profits, workers become the first line to be crossed off the balance sheet. Resorts. World Las Vegas announced the layoff of 50 full-time employees in an internal restructuring, said that this is a step towards rationalizing costs. At the same time, Caesars Entertainment, Fontainebleau, and Venetian also simultaneously cut staff in the service, management, and support departments. But MGM was the most shocking place, when 800 middle managers were fired in less than a week. Many of them received no clear explanation, just an email or a 5-minute Zoom meeting. Imagine, you wake up early, prepare to go to work like usual, and instead of entering the hotel lobby where you've been together for 10 years, you're told that you're no longer in the restructuring plan. That feeling, a nightmare, is still light to describe. However, the paradox is that the quarterly financial reports of corporations shine brightly. Profits held steady, stocks rose slightly, and the operating bonus that tied to the stock price also increased. Analysts call this the underground engine, maintaining the profit illusion to keep investor confidence at the expense of thousands of livelihoods. For employees, restructuring means losing jobs, reducing shifts, cutting benefits. With leadership, it's the achievement of improving profit margins. After each cut, the rest have to work more, but no one dares to ask for a raise. A new economy is born. Fear economy, fear-based economy, where one person gets fired making the rest work more, but no one dares to ask for a raise. Businesses take advantage of that mentality to increase productivity without increasing costs. Every time they lay off, they record a one-time cost of, and then a few quarters later, they announce a sharp increase in profits thanks to optimizing personnel. Those numbers help the report look clean and beautiful, convenient for raising capital, borrowing from banks, or preparing for an IPO. A longtime employee said bitterly, "They say Vegas is growing. Maybe yes, there's just no more room for us in that development." Widespread unemployment becomes the dark side of the artificial recovery, where workers' sweat turns into dividends and fear becomes a lucrative tool. Perhaps Vegas has forgotten what made its name. It was once a city of joy, where ordinary people can still enjoy a full weekend without having to mortgage their entire future. Now, the light is still bright, but below it are dreams that are gradually being erased from the payroll. After each layoff, the balance sheet gets beauty. HR costs are falling, profits are temporarily inching up, and CEOs can confidently claim that the business is running more efficiently than ever. But behind those numbers is a bitter paradox. Every step of short-term profit pushes the whole system one step back in terms of trust and quality. According to statistics from the Las Vegas Department of Tourism and Convention, LVCVA, the average revenue per visitor, average spend per visitor, has decreased continuously for many consecutive months. The number of international visitors in the second quarter of 2025 also decreased slightly compared to the previous year, especially from Asian and European markets, which spent the most. One report noted, "Guests still come to Las Vegas, but they stay shorter and spend less." Those numbers show the truth that few people want to admit. Vegas has no shortage of people, just a lack of trust. Casino corporations still report profits, but most of the profits do not come from real growth, but from cold math, staff cuts, increased service fees, and reduced operating spending. While executives celebrate results more positively than expected, the remaining employees have to work harder than ever. One person in the reception department shared, "We are serving fewer guests, but more tired than ever." Many people have to take on double the job, no extra pay, no extra breaks, and live in constant worry that the layoff email may come to them tomorrow. That exhaustion not only killed the morale of the workers, but also changed the atmosphere of the whole city. Online visitor reviews are starting to clearly reflect the change. Unfriendly service, tired staff. Vegas is no longer the same. A hotel manager admitted, "Our quarterly report is nicer, but I'm not sure it's a good sign for the future." However, on the top floor of the financial tower, investors still praise the lean efficiency. Each round of layoffs caused costs to fall, stocks increased by, and as stocks rose, executives were encouraged to continue cutting. The fewer people, the more beautiful the number. The more beautiful it is, the greater the pressure to cut. A closed loop, feeding itself with the blood and sweat of those below. Economists in Nevada call it profit cannibalism, profitism, devouring itself. When short-term profits are considered the sole goal, everything else, people, services, experiences, culture, becomes costs. Vegas may still glow on the surface, but inside is a city that is being eaten away, little by little, by its own short-term success. And perhaps the scariest thing is not the decline in revenue, but the collapse of the trust that once kept Vegas alive through every crisis. When profit becomes religion and people are just numbers, how long can the City of Light last when it is selling its own future to glow? On promotional posters throughout Las Vegas, casino corporations boast about the new era of smart experiences, fully digitized resorts, no waiting, no contact. They call it automation, digital transformation, the future. But inside that flashy technological shell, there's a reality that few people mention. Every new machine that appears is a human disappearing. Over the past few months, a series of front desk, Cashier and customer support positions have been replaced by self-service kiosks, digital booking systems, and automated payment gateways. The hotel no longer has a traditional check-in counter. Instead, guests scan their cards themselves, select rooms, and receive digital keys via the app. Convenient, economical, effective, but cold. An IT employee recounted, "We were assigned the task of training a new system. Then that system caused us to lose our jobs. Executives call this an inevitable step forward." An anonymous leader said, "Automation helps us achieve cost goals, but perhaps no one dares to say that it helps better customer experience. Because in reality, technology is not used to serve customers, but to legitimize mass layoffs." The phrase modernizes becomes a skillful veil for greed. Corporations associated it with slogans like optimizes productivity, enhances experience, but behind it are layoff emails, parts are wiped out, and people who once smiled and greeted customers now quietly leave through the back door. An industry engineer bluntly said, "AI doesn't steal jobs. It's humans who use AI as an excuse to cut back." Travel and hotel staff forums are rife with outrageous comment. They talk about empty resorts where guests have to do everything themselves, from ordering food, checking rooms, to troubleshooting technical problems. Vegas, once famous for its hospitality, has now become a symbol of emotionless service. In hotel lobbies, the sound of receipt printers and touchscreens replace the familiar greetings of staff. The real smiles gradually disappeared, giving way to the message, "Please scan QR code for support." An older tourist shared on social networks, "Vegas used to make me feel welcome. Now I just talk to the machine." Perhaps never before has the modern made people feel so lonely. The technology that was supposed to free people is now turned into a tool to remove them from the very place where they belong. And every time a corporation brags about its outstanding efficiency thanks to digital transformation, somewhere a worker loses the meaning of a job they were once proud of. Las Vegas still talks about innovation, but under that light, progress is gradually turning into the perfect mask for greed. Because in the end, technology doesn't change the nature of the game. It just makes eliminating humans smoother, cleaner, and quieter. Las Vegas used to be the symbol of American dream, where ordinary workers can make a living from work in the service industry, where every smile, every serving hand contributes to light up the city. But that dream is gradually being exported not to Hollywood or Wall Street, but to support centers in India and Mexico, where the same job pays less than half. In internal reports, casino corporations call this global personnel repositioning, a glossy way of moving jobs abroad to save 40–60% on labor costs. The parts that were once the heart of operations, from technical support, customer care to data management, are now shipped to lower-cost countries, while hundreds of people in Nevada have to leave in silence. A longtime engineer recounted, his voice still choking, "I have to train my replacement in Mexico. I taught them how to handle the system, how to operate the hotel network, then signed the resignation letter myself. No faults, no reason. It's just that they found someone cheaper." Companies try to highlight the story in smooth terms: refactoring, adjusting operations, locating personnel according to regional capacity. But on the other side, real people with bills, children, and little dreams are excluded from the very market they once helped build. According to data from the state of Nevada, the unemployment rate in Las Vegas increased to 5.3% in August 2025, the highest in recent months. The number seems small, but behind it are thousands of families who are losing a stable income. As jobs leave the city, so does the cash flow. A local economist commented, "Companies say they lack human resources, but the truth is they don't want to pay properly." Meanwhile, household spending in Las Vegas decreased significantly, and personal consumer debt increased rapidly, especially among service employees whose working hours were cut. People no longer shop, no longer eat out, no longer hang out, and the city that lives on joy begins to lose its own source of life. The so-called global optimization is turning into a domestic nightmare, where those who once lit up the "Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas" sign now have to live in the shadows of being replaced. Across the border, those jobs continue to be profitable, for shareholders, for executives, remains here, leaving only quiet neighborhoods and unpaid bills. Vegas used to export joy, dreams, and light around the world, but now it seems like what it's importing into is insecurity, emptiness, and a feeling of betrayal. Because when dreams are produced elsewhere, the dreamer will only be left with reality. On social media, a photo went viral with tens of thousands of shares. A bill reading $9 for a cup of black coffee, no sugar, no milk, no topping, is just coffee. Under the photo, hundreds of comments exploded. Vegas used to be a place where you spent money for fun. Now, you are charged for coming here. A cup of coffee, which was just a morning drink, has now become a symbol of a Las Vegas that is losing its soul. In resorts, bills now no longer stop at the listed number. Resort fees, service fees, transaction processing fees, all overlap, making the actual price 25 to 30% higher than the original figure. Everything seems to have surcharges, from water bottles, breakfast, parking, to even paper bill printing. People call it culture charging every penny, the nickel and dime culture. One tourist wrote, "Vegas used to make you happy because you chose to spend money. Now they make you feel guilty if you don't spend more." The feeling is no longer experience, but systematic exploitation. Many people describe the journey to Vegas as a contest to see who gets pickpocketed more subtly. It's not surprising that many restaurants and bars on the Strip closed because the number of visitors dropped sharply. A famous restaurant in the Flamingo area laid off 79 employees after table bookings plummeted. Not because the city lacks guests, but because guests are no longer interested in spending where they feel taken advantage of. Even the locals who were proud of the city of fun now admit that Vegas has changed. One person wrote, "It's not because I don't have enough money, but because I don't want to feel like I'm just a walking wallet." Those words rang out across travel forums, creating an unprecedented wave of strong criticism. Economists point out that average tourist spending in Vegas has dropped markedly, not just because of prices, but because of eroded trust. When visitors feel cheated, they no longer come back. And when they don't come back, the whole ecosystem from hotels, restaurants, to taxis, small stores are affected. Vegas used to live on liberality, where people came to feel allowed to enjoy. But today, even a cup of coffee smells of greed. The city once built on joy is trading itself that image in exchange for a few percent of the profits. Perhaps what makes people depressed is not the high price, but the feeling of betrayal. Because Vegas used to make you forget the reality of, and now it reminds you of the bill. And when a cup of coffee becomes a test of trust, perhaps the most expensive thing in Vegas today is not the price, but the real fun that has been charged for a long time. There is a saying that appears many times in the comments section under Vegas news. If they fire everyone, who will have money left to spend? A seemingly simple question, but it touches the core of the crisis that Las Vegas and the entire US are experiencing. Another wrote, "Henry Ford used to pay high salaries so workers could buy his car, and CEOs now do the opposite." It's not just a whine, it's an echo of an economic philosophy that once helped America become great, that if workers are paid their way, they're going back to making wheels for the whole economy. But today, that cycle has gone out of rhythm. In Vegas, people who used to keep the lights on can no longer afford to enjoy the very place they work. Experts warn that if the trend of cuts continues, Las Vegas's middle class will collapse completely, bringing with it the whole service ecosystem. When those who serve tourists now have to leave the city, who will still create the typical Vegas experience? When the locals no longer have enough money to consume, who will keep the economic wheels spinning? Many commentators say the city is forgetting Henry Ford's founding principle that the economy is only sustainable when people are respected. When CEOs lay off to optimize profits, they can beautify the quarterly report, but they are also erasing the values that once made America. Because an economy cannot last if its creator no longer has enough vitality in that system. Vegas, after all, has never been just a city of games and lights. It used to be where millions of people found work, pride, and the feeling of belonging to something bigger than themselves. But now, amidst that still bright light, perhaps what is going out is not economics, but trust. Henry Ford's lesson is not in the textbook, but in the tired faces coming out of the shift in Vegas today. They don't need miracles, just be seen as human, and not as a cost waiting to be cut. Las Vegas is still glowing, as if the lights could cover any cracks. But underneath that halo, the true soul of this city's joy is being cut piecemeal, in the same way that people streamline a payroll. Local news reports noted that the number of visitors to Vegas remained stable, but average spending fell more sharply than ever. Tourists still flock, still taking pictures under the sign, "Welcome to fabulous Las Vegas," but they only stay 1-2 nights instead of the whole week like before. A travel expert said, "Guests still come, but they no longer feel welcome." That statement rang out as a mild accusation, that it was Vegas that was fading the identity that had kept it alive for half a century. Outside the Strip, lights from million-dollar billboards shining down on homeless tents sprang up right at the foot of the casino billboard. A 63-year-old waiter said, "I used to hear the sound of slot machines every day. Now there is only the sound of wind in the parking lot." In the city that used to not sleep, there are now nights so silent that one can hear one's own voice, and also the emptiness that is spreading in the hearts of the people. Small businesses, local restaurants, family bars are trying to hold on to visitors with cheap prices, real service, no hidden fees, no deception. Meanwhile, big corporations still run after optimum model, where everything has a price, but no longer worth it. A small shop owner said desperately, "We still keep smiling, because that's the only thing they can't tax yet." Vegas was once built by the belief that everyone can find joy, even if it's just for one night. But now, that light seems to only clearly illuminate the gap between aura and reality, between advertising and real life, between the city of joy and the city of tired souls. And people are starting to wonder, if Vegas is no longer a place to have fun, then what is it? A giant stage playing itself again? A lasting illusion of debt and fear? Because when the fun is cut off, maybe what's left is just the dazzlingly bright lights, but not enough to warm anyone up. Maybe Vegas will continue to light up, because the lights don't need a heart to survive. But what does that light mean if below are people who are losing hope, jobs and faith in the American dream they helped build? Vegas didn't collapse overnight. It's just quietly exchanging souls for profits. And no one notices until joy is also put on the cut list. So what happens when a city born to make people happy makes them afraid of their own smile? And if Vegas, symbol of prosperity, also has no room for fun, what will America have left? If you have ever witnessed or felt that change, whether in Vegas, in Florida, or right in your town, please leave a comment below. Please share this video, because perhaps somewhere out there are still people who believe that the American dream is not really off. And if you want to continue accompanying stories like this, don't forget to click like and subscribe, because the truth is, sometimes needs more light than Vegas. All content in this video is compiled from public news sources, official reports, and employee shares recorded in the mass media. The goal of the video is not to criticize specific individuals, organizations, or businesses, but to reflect the social, economic picture taking place in Las Vegas from an analytical and humanistic perspective. All figures, statements, and quotations in the video are presented for informational and educational purposes, are not absolutely affirmative, and do not represent any agency or organization. Audiences are encouraged to self-verify information from mainstream sources and form their own perspectives. This video does not contain hateful, inflammatory, or politically oriented content, but only wishes to evoke human reflection on the values that once made America special.